Sticking with the free speech situation, the online safety bill has been getting quite a bit of coverage over the last few days. This is the BCS, British Computer Society, uh, online safety bill not fit for purpose, say tech experts. So let's just choose a couple of quotes from this. The legislation would have a negative effect on freedom of speech. Most IT specialists, brackets 58%, told BCS. Only 19% felt the measures proposed would make the internet safer, with 51% saying the law would not make it safer to be online. That Rob Derry, the chief executive of BCS, said there is real need to prevent online harm, but this law only goes part way to trying to achieve that. The aim should be to prevent hatred and abusive online behaviors by stopping harmful material appearing online in the first place. And that takes a mix of both technical and societal changes. So in this survey, we have a recognition that the bill is going to have a pretty chilling effect on free speech, but the BCS themselves are really calling for even more draconian activity there. But let's look at this is Politics Home, the House. And a delayed online safety bill puts us all at risk, they say, because they want it done now, not in September or October after the new leader of the Tory party. Sir Stephen Timms, MP, they quote, who chairs the Work and Pension Select Committee, is one of those concerned that pausing the passage of the online safety bill runs the risk of legislation falling out of step with technology, because technology is moving so fast, Brian, that in 6 months it'll already have moved so far ahead that the bill will no longer be fit for purpose.
It's an interesting statement that technology is driving human beings, not we are the ones here to enjoy life.
Yes, but he said it's deeply frustrating that this much needed legislation is being further delayed. People are losing their savings online to online financial scams. Google searches lead to adverts promising attractive returns from plausible sounding providers who are in fact crooks. This is nonsense. The truth is that the legislation will do nothing to deal with the plethora of online scams that there are at the moment. Most, and this is not a racist statement, it's just a simple fact, most of which are run out of India, and they are using not just the internet, but mobile phone networks and so on. So there's much more to look at there, and it's not a justification for the effect on freedom of speech. And then we've got the Telegraph here, who are taking actually quite a reasonable position on this. This headline from a couple of days ago, tweaking the online safety bill isn't good enough. It needs a fundamental overhaul. And they say much of the criticism in recent weeks is focused on the legal but harmful provisions. The bill requires the largest social media firms to include in their terms and conditions how they will tackle certain categories of legal material as determined by the Secretary of State. The indicative list includes abuse and harassment and health and vaccine misinformation, but this can easily be reinterpreted. And they give an example that Labour's Lucy Powell has already suggested that it can include climate denial. The article goes on to say this means the bill requires the tech companies to take on a quasi-judicial role using automated systems without the usual protections of criminal process. It also explicitly, in the latest amendments, lowers the threshold for what the companies must remove to any content that they have, quote, reasonable grounds to infer could be illegal. And the article ends by saying the online safety bill has truly gotten out of hand. It now reaches an immense 230 pages and contains the word must 437 times. The next Prime Minister must go down further, and there's no irony there at all. The next Prime Minister must go down further than cosmetic changes. Must go further than cosmetic changes. The bill should be withdrawn from Parliament and reviewed from first principles to develop, stripped back to a framework that tackles serious criminal behaviour and protects children without infringing on fundamental rights or undermining innovation. This means going much further than either Truss or Sunak currently envisages. And while that is quite a relatively positive article in the sense that somebody has finally recognised what we've been talking about for the last 3 years, nonetheless, the bill does need to be removed completely and stripped back. There's still a willingness to not recognize the fact that the main target for this bill is freedom of speech, and protection of children and online scams was never really what it was about. And just to sort of reinforce this, two headlines here. One from the Washington Post: big tech tried to quash Russian propaganda. Russia found loopholes. And Associated Press, a related article: Russian disinformation spreading in news waste despite bans. And the quote from this is that NewsGuard A New York-based firm that studies and tracks online misinformation has now identified 250 websites actively spreading Russian disinformation about the war, with dozens of new ones added in recent months. Now, what's interesting is that NewsGuard isn't publishing this list. Here's their page here: Russia, Ukraine Disinformation Tracking Center, 252 websites spreading war disinformation and the top myths they publish. And this is the only information that they publicly disseminate, that there are 118 English language websites, 42 French language websites, 22 German language websites, 28 Italian language websites, and others 42. That's all we can know about it unless we write to them and ask for the list, if we're very lucky to get it. But the point here is that, this is really what it's about, David, is Russian disinformation, or in fact, any information which is counter to the government's